Defense wins championships. It's a trope you hear everywhere. You hear it in every single corner, whether you play amateur basketball, whether you play professional basketball, whether you play semi-professional basketball. Everybody says defense wins championships. So I want to take a look at the examples that disprove whether defense actually does win you a championship. First things first. Defense, for the most part, always wins you a championship. The best teams in all of basketball have a good defense. For the past 30 years or so, except the Shaq Lakers, which has two of the greatest players ever, two top 10 players ever, or the KD Warriors, which has two top 15 players ever. I mean, KD's arguable whether he's top 10 or not. It's up to you to decide. The rest of the top 30, except one team, have a top 10 defense. But there's one team that hasn't got two top 75 players ever, hasn't got two MVPs ever, hasn't got two All-NBA players, has one All-NBA all-time player, one player that just about made the All-Star game this season. The Denver Nuggets were a middle-of-the-pack defense and somehow managed to win an NBA Finals. Let's revisit it. Now, when people talk about a defensive team, a defensive team, they talk about the 2001 Lakers, the 2001 Shaq Lakers, Shaq, Kobe, D-Fish, all of these players. They talk about them and say they won a chip. In the NBA back then, they had 29 teams, and this team was a bottom 10 defensive team in the regular season. They were 21st out of 29. Statistically, defensively, they were not good at all. If you look at the statistics, they just weren't a good defensive team in general. Despite having good defenders, they weren't a good defensive team. But what changed for them was a series of narratives that went on throughout the season and the playoffs. This was the end, really, close to the end of the Shaq and Kobe era, where Shaq and Kobe were arguing. Shaq was coming across as arrogant. Shaq played his way into the season despite starting the season not amazingly well. I mean, Allen Iverson won MVP that season. And the entire season, everybody thought the Lakers have lost their edge. But the difference between them and the Denver Nuggets was that in the playoffs, they just turned it on. In the playoffs, they went from the 21st defensive rating team in the country to the #1 defensive team in all of the United States of America. Well, just the NBA. Defense was something they just turned on, and after a torrid season for them on their behalfs, they ended up turning it on, playing their way into a good playoffs. In the playoffs, they had a record of 15-1, and they managed to come out of it with a chip. Same can be said for the 2018 Golden State Warriors. After coming off a good season in 2017, winning a chip for the first time with Kevin Durant, they ended up in the regular season being an 11th defensive rating team across the entire association. But once again, like the Lakers, in the playoffs, they turned it on and ended up with the #1 defensive rating. They were playing 50%, to be honest, across the entire season. If you watch the season, you can see that the team in general was playing at 50%. The team was, in general, so good that they treated the regular season like it was a rehearsal. It's genuinely dumb. But the Denver Nuggets, we watched it. I was here. I made a video about it. But the Denver Nuggets just weren't that identity. They weren't a defensive identity at all. But what they did have was a historically good offense. Nikola Jokic, where do we even start? Nikola Jokic's run in the playoffs is one of the greatest things I've ever seen. There's a thing with a player that can pass the ball, shoot the ball, score inside, rebound, and do absolutely anything. Team defensively, he was good. You can't pick up a matchup against Nikola Jokic because he just drops. He's a drop big, and so he can't do too much wrong. I guess defensively, he can protect the rim a little bit better, but tough layups are tough layups. Slam dunks are slam dunks at the end of the day. So you're not going to get a wide open look or a good look with a drop defensive player playing in a team coverage where the players can come off the wing and defend for him. They can double off of him. Off of the non-shooters, they can double off, give Nikola Jokic some aid. So he's a good team defender. And so for them, they didn't rely on the team defense. They didn't rely on the defense at all. They went with, our strongest weapon is Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic ended the 2023 postseason with 600 points, 259 rebounds, and 190 assists. That is more than every single person in every single category. He is the first player in NBA history to ever essentially triple crown the NBA playoffs. It's unheard of, unimaginable if you want. In just 20. postseason games, he recorded 10 triple-doubles, the most in any playoff stretch in history. The second most being 7 with Wilt Chamberlain. And Wilt Chamberlain was playing against people that were 5'2". In the playoff finals, he put up 30, 20 and 10. Like, this man was putting up stat lines we have not seen before in the modern era. Playing against the best players we've seen skill-wise in one of the best eras of basketball and deciding to dominate. And that brings us on to the second most important thing for the Denver Nuggets. Their offensive efficiency was incredible. They had the best offense in the league by far. Nobody else was even close. They had the best offense in the regular season, they had the best offense in the postseason. And it was like Nikola Jokic just wanted to bring some gold home to his horses in Serbia. It was genuinely, significantly not human. Their system, holistically, was perfectly constructed. They didn't have 3 to 4 Hall of Famers like the Golden State Warriors in 2018. They didn't have a Shaq and Kobe duo who can score and D-up at any moment. They had a point center who is one of the best passers ever, and so they played off of that to perfection. They had shooters around him that could knock down the ball. They had a point guard who could slash and score. And they did everything they needed to do. They had a bench scorer in Bruce Brown. Their offense was constructed to score as many points as possible. And I think that's what the Denver Nuggets struggle with right now. A lot of their offensive players are switchblades that can do everything rather than score. You know, Peyton Watson's coming into his scoring bag now. Zeke Naji's still not a scorer. Christian Brown's injured. Bruce Brown isn't the scorer he used to be. They need more scorers around Nikola Jokic because he's going to get his buckets. He's one of the most efficient scorers we've ever seen. Nikola Jokic, post-up, is one of the most efficient players in basketball history. But he needs scorers around him because he will unlock so much offensive capability in that team. And that's what I think the 2023 Denver Nuggets were so good at. And finally, what I think some Denver fans won't be happy with, but they were lucky with the teams they played. Let's be honest. Let's just be honest. I mean, as the 1 seed, they came in, obviously played against the 8th seed, Minnesota Timberwolves. They beat them. Anthony Edwards put up a good performance, I remember that. Then they played against the 4th seed. Not a top 3, not a top seeded team. Good contention, played against KD on the Suns. I didn't mind it at all, but the Suns were never beating the Denver Nuggets. Then they played against the 7th seed, who somehow made it all the way to the conference final in the Los Angeles Lakers. And obviously 7th seed against 1st seed, they're going to win. Then they played against the 8th seed in the finals. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say there's an asterisk on this ring, because there is no asterisk on this ring at all. But, B-U-T, you can't deny that the strength of schedule impacted. It did, it just did. And I think all of these things put together, having one of the greatest offensive players all time, having one of the greatest offenses of all time, having a weak schedule of opponents, put those 3 together, and the Denver Nuggets just had the perfect concoction to win an NBA Finals. So, does defense win championships? 99.99999%. 0.0000001% is Nikola Jokic. Don't forget to subscribe.